Hello and welcome. Welcome once again to the Secrets of the High Demand Coach podcast. And I am here with yet another high demand coach. In fact, a coach to high demand coaches. I'm so excited to have Jeanne Omlor here today. She's a certified business strategist and online business coach. She's a natural born motivator, an encourager, a voracious researcher and strategist. And what she does, she helps her clients to operate at their ultimate potential and performance level. Jeanne infuses her ICF accreditation from intelligent leadership into all of her training, and her clients have something in common. They are smart go-getters who want to fulfill their ultimate potential. Well, Jeanne, I'm so excited to have you on the podcast. I feel like I already know you so well from the reviews online or looking at your website and even our conversation ahead of time. But I'd love for us to just take a step back before we jump into what you do and kind of what makes all of that tick. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you were doing before becoming a business coach and how that ultimately led to what you do today?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be on your show. Okay, so it's a long story, but I'm going to try to boil that down to as short as possible. So before I was a coach, just to fast forward, I started off my life as a fashion designer. I studied fashion design in college in Australia. And then I really didn't want to do that much. So I decided, I really wanted to go traveling. And I really wanted to be an actress. So I went traveling and I lived in different countries and I studied acting here and there. And I ended up doing that for a while. I was in Europe for 8 years. I was in Paris for 6. And then I got tired of being clandestine and sort of being a bohemian type. I literally would just, people can't believe this now, but I would sit in cafes and have coffee with my friends, and I'd teach English, and I worked for a cordon bleu chef, like doing her food design. And I thought, this was really not working. So I was trying to get papers there, but they kept changing the laws. And I thought, I think I'm just going to go back to the States. Even though I grew up in Australia, I was American, but we moved to Australia. I'd never actually lived in the States since I'd been a kid. So I moved to New York to do the acting thing. And of course, that's a whole hustle. And while I was doing that, I got a job as an executive recruiter on Wall Street. They just hired me and said, you're going to be great at this. And so I became an executive recruiter, and I became really good at it with not even trying. Like, it was one of the things in my life. I didn't even try to be good. Like, I didn't even have to try. I was just good at it. When that happens, when you're a natural, it's like, wow, everything else I do, I have to practice for thousands of hours. So I did that, but I was still doing my acting, and I became a filmmaker and, did that for a while. And then got married, and it wasn't a successful marriage, let's just say that. And when I was on my own with my 2 kids in New York, one was 4 and one was 1, I thought, I really have to do something because I have no money and I haven't worked in a long while. I was doing a bit of consulting here and there, but wasn't steady. I thought I really need to do something where I can take care of my children, because I wasn't willing to farm them out, and I'm an attachment parent. And so how can I do this? And I thought, what am I going to do? And I started a kids blog, and the kids blog was a big hit. However, it did not make a lot of money, but I was well known all around the world for this kids blog, like pretty soon. I thought, wow, I can't believe that happened. So I was invited to parties. I got a lot of loot sent. Then I thought, the little bit of advertising, because I didn't know how to really make money. I did what I could. And I did a little bit of advertising. I thought, okay, this is not going to do it. What can I do? I thought, well, I used to coach actors. And people are always asking my advice, and I used to make films. I thought, I'm actually pretty good at coaching. Maybe I should become a coach. So I looked into it, and I thought, this is perfect for me, because I'm if you do those Enneagrams of what makes a good coach, I was like hitting every single one, like helping personality, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, okay, this looks like it's fit. So I just got certification at night while my kids were sleeping. I worked from 7 till midnight every night for 2 years to make this happen, because I was looking after my kids from 7 till 7. I was so sleep deprived, but I thought this has to work. So I just started that slow, and I got a business coach immediately. I asked a woman I knew who was a coach, the only coach I knew then, who's your coach? So I hired her. I didn't know anybody else. I just wanted to make it happen. However, I was learning offline methods, the old way of coaching where you go to networking events and you get the cards, and that's all I knew. And it was such a hustle, because I'd have to get a babysitter, go to the networking event. It was so hard. And I thought, okay. And, soon after, I thought, I really got to maybe learn this online thing. Okay. But then something happened. We had to move to another state, and it was kind of got lost in there, and I thought, okay, I got to get back to that. And then, where I lived, which was a state where people don't really invest in their businesses that much, thought, this isn't working. What I used to do in New York City, like that was working and now it's not. What do I do? And, one day I woke up, I was 54, so it's almost 4 years ago. I thought, I need to do something. I'm in deep debt now. My kids are going to understand at some point that I'm not really a success. I've got to do something. I literally had what people call a defining moment. And I always wondered about those defining moments, because from my life, it wasn't like a lot of defining moments. It was just sort of realizations as I went. And I thought I had a defining moment. And I just thought, I need to get online and I need to learn this. And I know it's going to be really hard because I'm not techie and I don't know anything about online marketing, but I'm going to do this. So I started searching around. I found a 10K program and I thought they were going to teach me Facebook ads because that's all I knew. I just knew I needed to get online. And I thought the only option was Facebook ads. I got online. I did the program. And I realized immediately Facebook ads were not what I was supposed to do because I had no validated offer online. And I thought, wait a minute. Oh, no, you can't do Facebook ads. I said, but that's it. That's what I paid you for. They said, no, you're going to do something called organic marketing. I said, like carrots? I literally said, like carrots. Well, I learned organic marketing and it was hard because I was so not techy. I was like, okay, I got to learn this because I had to. And on the 8th week, I got my first high ticket client with organic marketing. And then I got 2 more. So I made $15,000 in 1 week. And it changed my life. I thought, okay, I got this. I'm good at this. And then people were like, how did you do that? And I started getting clients and then my program got built and I got, started adding specialists and now we have a great team. And this is over 3.5 years ago. And I started creating those trainings as I went that people needed. And it just grew. And I got to $1 million in 17 months from that point. And now, we're multi-millions now, but that basically was the whole story. I hope that wasn't too long for your listeners.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So there's so much I want to unpack in that, but one of them, because it's such a big part of the entrepreneurial story, but why do you think that defining moment it was so important in your story? And why is it so important in so many of the stories of the folks that you serve every day?
Well, this defining moment, I realized it's a real defining moment. And it touched a chord with all the people that think they're too anything, too old, too young, too not a man, too a single mom, to anything, to I don't know. And I think what it is here's a mom who's 54 years old, not techie. I am so not. I had to learn. A colleague of mine had to do a Loom training to show me how to use Zoom because I've never met anybody so not techie. Because I didn't need tech. I was offline meeting people. Okay. And so it's also, oh, I'm not techie. That's okay. I wasn't. Oh, I'm older. That's okay. I was 54. Well, I'm a single mom. So am I. I'm a single dad. So am I. Well, I got kids to take care. So do I. Yeah. I homeschool. I was. So basically it knocks out all those excuses people have of being like, oh, because, people have this thing, they have to be younger, and they have to be like Insta friendly and, blah, blah, blah. Also, I'm an introvert. I hate even though I was an actress, I hate doing videos. I avoided videos for the longest time. I got to a very high monthly income without even doing a Facebook Live. And I thought, Jeanne, just do this. So it's important because I was washed up. And I knew it. How did I become washed up? This is not who I am. And I was sort of, had I was depressed. It was dysthymia, but I was depressed. My kids didn't know it because it wasn't a full blown. I thought actually pretty, low level depression. And I remember I thought, wait, this is somebody, I had a vision. I thought, but I'm supposed to be that $1 million coach. And I knew I couldn't say anything that, how can somebody who's washed up even voice that to somebody else? I think you're ridiculous, right?
Wow.
But I had that in my mind. And I thought, now, wait a minute. I know I can do this. I just need to find the way. That's all. And so it was hard. I got to say, Scott, it was not easy. It was like no success, washed up, mindset not in a good place. I must have 2 kids, like, oh my gosh, I'm older. How am I going to make this happen? I don't have that much time. If not now, when? And the defining moment was, if not now, I heard the voice, if not now, Jeanne, when? When are you going to do this? And I was like, I woke up. I thought, whoa, now I have to do it now. I'm not getting any younger. None of us are. So I think it's defining because I was so washed up, honestly. There was no backup.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Why is it that you think, and I would imagine you see this quite a lot in your line of work, but why is it that we work so hard to disqualify ourselves from success? Why is it, why are those, why do we give those excuses? Because that's what they are, but why do we give them so much credit?
Because we are in not a culture, because it's a world culture. We're in humanity, okay? And it's a human thing and it's been happening forever all over the place. I'm not going to say it's American culture or this. We are human and we have a human culture of thinking, oh no, that's not for me. That's for those other people over there. That's those other people. When you start thinking that those other people are you because we're all one, and I started thinking, wait a minute, why can't I be those other people? Why can't I jump the fence where the grass is greener, actually greener, not looks greener? But I talked about that in my coaching since I started, that life is like there's two pathways. There's one on the right and one on the left, and there's a fence. And you got to jump that fence. You're walking along the pathway that's not successful, that you're unhappy, you're not fulfilled, you hate your life. A lot of people do, and I'm just being real. I hated my life. I mean, I didn't hate my children. I liked something about my life. I wasn't happy. I wasn't fulfilled. I didn't feel like a success. I felt like I really should have been doing better. And it wasn't, I've proven to myself those were not just empty thoughts. So it's real because look what I did, right? So you're on this path and you're like on this path where every day is a day you're never going to get back, right? I'm very conscious of time. And I'm like, wait a minute, not now, when? How long am I going to go on this path where I'm not happy, I'm not fulfilled, it's not what I want to do, and it's not sustainable because I'm in deep debt? People have to understand there is another pathway. It's not the grass is all the greener, what was greener. It's on the other side of that fence that you got to jump. And on the other side of that fence is your real life, your real life. I feel like I'm finally living my real life, not the fake life that was putting up with me not being fulfilled. That was the fake life. This is the real life because I did what it took to jump the fence. And I feel like I'm bathing in my real life right now. I feel so like this is it. Is my life perfect? No, nobody's life is perfect, but it's still your real life, right? So that I think what it is conditioning of you're not good enough. That's for other people. And it's all sorts of conditioning, family, culture. It's always about know your place, especially for women. That's not a feminist thing, but we have to carve out the pathway to even drag the chair up to the table. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So
yeah.
I'm not like doing some feminist thing, but all people need to do that. Men need to do that too. Because men, it's not men or women, it's people. We lack confidence in ourselves. We think we have to be perfect. We have to be the smartest. We have to be the best, the prettiest, the most knowledgeable. It's just rubbish.
Yeah.
You don't need to. Me.
Yeah, and that's so true. I think, having worked with both male and female clients, I would say there are very big differences, but they're so similar. It's similar patterns. We have different, we come at it from a different angle, but what I've found is true. We all wrestle with some form of, discouraging thought process or just of some type of imposter syndrome, especially in the coaching, consulting, professional services. There's this idea that like, you are selling you to an extent, right? To a very real extent. And so it compounds the feeling of like, if you have any sense of I'm not enough for what they need, right? Which, that's not even your role, but that feeling has a very logistical implication, right? It's like you have to get on a sales call and actually sell yourself. You have to get on social media and actually talk about how you helped somebody. And so it looks very different for men and women, but everyone struggles with that. I think everyone struggles. Now, you don't have to. It's not fatal. It's not that you have to stay there. And to your point, you can jump the fence. But I think it's really helpful for folks out there to hear everyone has to jump the fence at some point.
They do, because it's walking through the fire, okay? But the big question is this. It's not how do I jump the fence? It's who do I get me to give a leg up over the fence? That's the key. Nobody thinks about that. They're always, how do I do things? How do I do that? How do I do that? What about who can give you the leg up to get over the fence? That is getting help That was what I always knew. Like immediately when I was deep debt, broke, I always said, I need some help. But I was always like that. I've always paid a lot of money for all sorts of lessons for myself. I always invested all my money in singing lessons, acting lessons, you name it, piano. I mean, so I always did that. That was a reflex with me to invest in myself in all ways, all sorts of stuff. So if people don't have that, and it flows through to my children, because when I was broke in New York City, all my money went to their lessons. We ate and they had lessons. That was so important to me to develop them. And actually, I was watching this video about how the wealthy think, and that was in there. The wealthy think about developing themselves, investing. So luckily, I already knew that. But and you're right, if you don't, it is painful, isn't it? Isn't that painful? When you say, oh, I'm going to it's not like you can go along with your normal everyday pace to jump that fence. You've got to step back and do a run up to jump over the fence. And it's not like, oh, sure, I'm going to jump the fence. It is walking through the fire, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is. It sure is. And you're hitting on another topic that actually comes up quite frequently with guests, but I think, and it's actually great to tie this in because you're talking about, social media and organic marketing and putting yourself out there. I've also found the dark side of that is there's a lot of stuff on social media that actually breathes on those insecurities, right? It's this idea that, business is easy. You can jump. There is no fence. It's like being an entrepreneur is sipping martinis on the beach or, pick your cocktail of choice. And I don't think there's very many things that are as rewarding as building something as an entrepreneur, right? I think there's something really, really unique and special about that, especially if you're built for it. But you're right. It is not easy. And I think we do a disservice to folks to call it easy. It's not that it's easy. I think it's rewarding. Would you agree with that?
It is rewarding and it's also not easy. However, again, the who can make this easier.
Yeah.
Because there is also this addiction to pain. I'm just going to make that so hard for myself. And even on the mindset side, if you say, oh, you know what, I'm going to do this and it's not that hard, it won't be that hard. However, the whole journey is hard because you got to learn how to do that. And that's hard, right? So a lot of this is the mindset and how we frame things. If you go, oh, I'm going to attach so much pain into doing that tiny little thing, it's going to be painful. And you'll see a variety of clients, and one just does the work, and the other one's like all this pain. I call it the pain body. They're attaching their pain body to every single thing they do because that's what they do. So it's really about mindset-wise, like, how do I clear this mindset as much as possible and get my emotions to a point of neutral about the work? And that's what I teach my clients in the mindset portion, because we do a lot of mindset, is how do okay, I'm feeling icky. I don't like the marketing. Oh, I'm spammy, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm fearful. Okay, great. You have all those emotions. Don't sit there and, people process. They say, I have to process this. Why? Why do you have to process those emotions? Why do you have to process every single emotion that goes or every thought that goes through your head? It's a waste of time. When we know what those are, feel it in your body. I have a whole instant shift technique that actually deals with the feeling in the body because that's important and neutralizes on a physical level these emotions, because our job is to neutralize emotions. There's not bad and good. Everything in life has yin and yang and negative and positive. Even when something is great, guess what? There's always some downside. And just look at it. That's just life. So people are looking for the amazing. Everything's so amazing. Well, sorry, nothing is always so amazing. Every single business, every single day, there's good and bad every day. Look at your business every day, right? So this is immature that people have to have nirvana or hell, heaven or hell. No, can't you just say, you know what? Life is positive and negative. I'm going to neutralize all the stuff that's keeping me from not taking action instead of giving it so much importance and a story, and it goes on. And people do this. Have you seen that? On and on. People need to become anti-fragile. You know that book?
Yeah.
I love that book.
Yeah.
It does it all. So the more you say, you know what, I get that normal people do that, but I'm going to not be normal. I'm going to be above average. I'm not going to let the force of average, because those people that understand average, I don't want to be average. Those are the winners. And it's really just controlling your emotions or, neutralizing, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, it's such a big thing. And again, because I think most folks fail to understand how emotionally charged starting and running your own business is, right? Especially when you're doing it alone, right? You haven't looked for help from other people. It can be just a massive roller coaster, especially if you let that roller coaster lead you.
Well, I would never do something. I'm so big on getting help. Why would I guess when I could pay somebody to give me actually what works?
Yeah.
Right. And I think the more your mind is wired for success, you're like, who can help me find this person who can actually do this? Why would you just go around and around guessing? Your life time every day is so valuable. Why would you
Yeah.
waste weeks, months, years trying to figure something out when you could just pay a coach?
Yeah.
I don't, you know.
So true. It's so true. It's so true. So there's a question I like to ask all of my guests, and it's this: what's the biggest secret that you wish wasn't a secret at all? What's that one thing that you wish everybody listening or watching right now knew?
Folks, there is no velvet, the velvet rope. That's imaginary. There's no velvet rope where there's you, like, the velvet rope, and you're waiting to get let into the wonderful nightclub or exclusive. The velvet rope is in your imagination.
Oh,
That's just not there. It's not there. There, basically, you've created that velvet rope. Do you know what I mean by velvet rope?
yes, I do. Yeah.
You think your listeners know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'm trying to remember
A
where I heard the
barrier to
concept, but go
entry.
for it.
The barrier to entry where the elite get let in, but you're
Yeah.
behind it. You're never going to get into that
Yeah.
exclusive place. That velvet rope is in your minds because all you need to do is find the who and the how, and you just do certain things. And it's like, oh, wow. Okay. So that actually worked. And that wasn't that other people get that and I don't.
Yeah.
That's the secret.
Yeah. Yeah. There's nothing that's separating you from them other than what you're letting separate you from them. Yeah.
Right.
So good, so good, and it's something. It's one of those things that I almost there's almost a little grief in me because folks will hear that and just kind of accept it, but not really hear it.
Mm.
And it's one of those things that I think if you really hear it and let it sink in, it has a massive power to transform you, your business, and your success for sure. So yeah, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing it. One other question that I have for you, and then I know folks are going to want to get in touch with you, so we'll show them the best way here in a second. But before we get there, I'm actually going to have you take off your coach hat, put on your CEO hat, and kind of jump down into the ring with the rest of us as entrepreneurs, and tell us what the next stage of growth looks like for you and your business, and what challenges will you have to overcome now to get there?
Okay. So at the next level, there's always a new challenge of who are you hiring? Or the who. And it's always the who now. And the who helps you with the how, right? So I want to get to 10 million now. So I'm strategizing, okay, if you're doing what got you here will not get you there, right? You have to understand that what you're currently doing, you have to know how far that's going to get you.
Yeah.
And you usually don't want to play it out to the very end because it means you're losing money because you could have started integrating. However, I'm big on the one thing. I'm big on doing one thing over and over and over again and really maximizing, but then really being sensitive. Okay, now I'm at that point where we could open this up. Okay. So now it is who, and I'm hiring a lot of people. Okay. So who do I hire? And often those people are not good if it's like a digital marketing agency. But that again, you have to understand that's business. You're not always going to be able to hire the home run. And when people understand that's part of the testing, is testing who you're hiring instead of, oh, I hired that person. That was a waste of money. I'm a failure. No, you hired that person. That was a failure. Keep going. You're going to find a good one.
Right.
So people have to position their thinking in a longer timeline and not be like good or bad, good or bad. Because even when I've hired bad people, sometimes I got something out of it, sometimes not.
Yeah.
Okay. And you just say, okay, that wasn't a good decision. I did qualify them. They didn't do what they said they were going to do next. Not, oh, I'm never going to hire another person again. So I think people have to really watch where they're being a victim of, oh, that didn't work. I'm never going to hire another person like that. So my CEO thing right now, and it's good you asked that, is, okay, who do I hire to get to that next level? And that's going to be back-end people. That's going to be because some of the marketing we do in-house, I hired a media team. but I put the media team together myself because I thought, how am I going to produce that? Oh, I'm going to create my own media team in-house so we can work together. But there's other things I don't want to do in-house. So who are those people? How do I qualify them? Get them. I'm hiring somebody today, actually. So I'm actually starting a podcast again, and, so that was like, okay, I'm not doing this myself. That's for sure. Like, I'm not going to produce it. So it did some, we're hiring that today. So that's one thing. So what's the next thing? I'm doing a podcast again. I started a podcast and it wasn't the right time. I wasn't, also people, I will say, doing everything all at once is always not the right thing. And I started the podcast and I didn't really think, I was working with a marketing agency at that point. I thought, I don't know if this is the right time. Oh, it is. And I said, no, actually it's not. And I'm very good at walking away for the right reason. I thought, nope, not right now. And I thought, now's the time. So just because I'm not a quitter, but I quit for the right reason. It just wasn't right. I just wasn't into it then. So what's next? Hire a podcast person. What's next? Hire somebody else. What's next? We're always improving our SOPs. We're always, looking at everything, improving my leadership, how my team behind works, behind the scenes. So there's all of that as well, and developing, because, I'm into leadership as well. And the bigger you get, you have to change your systems. So that's what's next for me. And also I'm developing a mindset course at the moment, because it's more about like getting clients, and there is some mindset, but I'm going to be developing just a mindset course as well.
Yeah. Fantastic. Now, I know there's some folks that are listening to this and they're just like, I've got to get in touch with Jeanne. So how do they do that? How do they find more out about you and the work that you do?
Well, you're going to put the reviews link so they can actually see these reviews, and there's a booking link there. Also, all over social media, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, just look for my name. It's very simple. I keep it simple, and you can follow me or friend me or DM me, and you want to email me, it's Jeanne@JeanneOmlor.com. It's very simple. And there's a lot of ways to there's website reviews, email, DM me. I love people DMing me on social media, and I do answer. So I'm very accessible.
That's fantastic. And again, we'll drop it in the notes here, but JeanneOmlor.com. That's JeanneOmlor.com. And then you head over to /reviews and you'll hear some amazing stories of folks that Jeanne has helped. And you'll find yourself in those stories as well, I'm sure. So Jeanne, it was an absolute pleasure having you here. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing. And for everyone listening, your time and attention mean the world to us. I hope you got as much out of this conversation as I did, and I cannot wait to see you next time. Take care.